To persist is not a trait of the lucky, it is the deliberate weapon of those who understand the game of life. In a world that seduces you with shortcuts, the true strategist endures the long war. This is the art of never giving up. In the battlefield of life, emotions are both allies and enemies. They surge like tides, unpredictable, powerful, and often deceptive. The most common downfall of men and women is not a lack of intelligence or resources, but the inability to govern what roars within. When you do not master your emotions, they master you. You become reactive, impulsive, easily manipulated. You abandon strategy for survival, clarity for chaos, and that is where most people lose, not in the moment of failure, but in the moments of internal weakness that precede it. You must understand your emotions are ancient signals. They were designed to keep you alive, not to help you thrive. Fear was meant to keep you from lions, not boardrooms. Anger was built for battle, not for words. But the world has evolved, and if you haven't trained your inner world to evolve with it, you are already behind. Mastery begins the moment you stop trusting every emotion as truth. Just because you feel defeated does not mean you are. Just because you feel tired does not mean you're done. Emotions whisper stories, but not all stories are accurate. Observe yourself. When panic rises, do you act from it, or do you pause, breathe, and investigate? This gap between feeling and reaction is where mastery lies. Most people are slaves to the immediate. They erupt in rage, they collapse in despair, they chase after fleeting highs. They are puppets, pulled by invisible strings they never dared to examine. But the strategist, the warrior, the one who is determined never to give up, he cuts the strings, he becomes the puppeteer of his own state. This is not about suppression, it is about discipline. To master your emotions does not mean to be numb. It means to be so aware, so present, that you can sit with your emotions like a king sits on his throne. With detachment and command, you feel fear, but you do not run. You feel rage, but you do not strike. You feel sorrow, but you do not drown. This is power, not the loud, boastful power that the world admires, but the quiet, dangerous power that reshapes destinies. When others are spiraling, you remain centered. When pressure mounts, you become calm. When chaos reigns, you think clearly, and this terrifies the world because you cannot be controlled. If someone can control your emotions, they can control your decisions. And if they can control your decisions, they own your fate. But if you are the master within, you cannot be dominated from without. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are the one watching it all, choosing deliberately. That is how warriors endure. That is how legends are carved, not by muscle, not by luck, but by a mind that refuses to be enslaved by emotion. Control your internal state, and you will never be conquered by external forces. Pain is not the enemy, it is the signal, it is the language of growth, of awakening, of transformation. The masses run from pain, numb it, avoid it, medicate it. But those who seek mastery, the rare few who walk the lonely path of excellence, learn to sit with it, study it, and ultimately use it. Pain reveals where the weakness lies. It exposes your limits, not to humiliate you, but to challenge you. It is nature's brutal honesty, unfiltered feedback that cannot be lied to or ignored. Most people collapse at the first sign of discomfort. A failed plan, a betrayal, a heartbreak, a setback, and they retreat. They label themselves as broken, unlucky, doomed, but pain isn't an ending, it's a beginning. It is the doorway to your next evolution. If you can endure it, and more importantly, if you can interpret it, you become someone new on the other side, the person you were meant to be. Pain strips away the illusion of control. It reminds you that nothing worthwhile comes without sacrifice. Comfort breeds stagnation, repetition creates softness, but pain forges sharpness, it teaches humility, it builds patience, it demands adaptation. That is why it must be treated as a teacher, not a curse. Those who weaponize their pain become unshakable, not because they feel less, but because they've learned to harness more. Think about it, every powerful figure in history, every titan of their craft, every silent warrior you admire, they've all suffered. They've all bled, broken, fallen, and risen. Their pain wasn't an obstacle, it was a crucible. It refined them, it burned away weakness, ego, and excuses. It taught them resilience not through theory, but through raw, unfiltered experience. And that kind of lesson, you can't fake it, you can't shortcut it, you have to earn it. When you start to see pain not as punishment but as data, your entire mindset shifts. You begin to say, what is this pain showing me? What is it building in me? Where is it pointing me to go next? And suddenly, you're not the victim anymore. You are the strategist, the architect of your own transformation. You take the very thing that was meant to break you, and you bend it into fuel. Let others run from discomfort. Let them distract themselves, blame others, sink into self-pity. That is their path. Yours is different. Yours is brutal. Yours is disciplined. Yours requires that you lean into what hurts, not for the sake of suffering, but because you understand what suffering gives birth to. Strength, wisdom, depth, fire. You want to be unbreakable, then learn to welcome pain, not recklessly, but intentionally. Learn to extract its message, learn to let it shape your mind, forge your character, and burn off what no longer serves you, because once pain becomes your ally, nothing, not failure, not fear, not fate, can ever own you again. Failure is one of the most misunderstood forces in the human experience. People treat it as a verdict, as if it declares something final about who they are or what they're capable of. But failure isn't a death sentence, it's a signal. A message, a moment, one designed not to destroy you but to direct you. It doesn't say, you are not enough. It says, there is more to learn. And if you are wise enough to listen, it will teach you everything you need to win. Most people let failure define them because they were conditioned to believe that mistakes are shameful, that falling means you weren't built for the climb, that a door closing means there are no more doors. But that mindset is poison. It keeps you small. It turns every setback into a wall rather than a stepping stone. What the world calls failure is really feedback-coded instructions from the battlefield, revealing where your strategy was weak, where your thinking was narrow, where your preparation fell short. Failure sharpens the mind. It humbles the ego, it strips you of illusions and demands that you confront reality. It says, this path didn't work. Now what will you do? And in that moment you have two choices: retreat into self-pity or rise into reinvention. The average person chooses the former, the strategist, the warrior, the one who refuses to give up. He chooses the latter. He studies the wreckage. He turns analysis into action. He returns not just stronger, but smarter. Every master was once a novice, tripping over their own ambition, fumbling through dark hours of doubt. What separates them is not perfection, it's persistence. They didn't avoid failure, they absorbed it. They used it to refine their craft, test their discipline, and harden their spirit. Failure wasn't their ending, it was their beginning. It was the fire that melted away excuses and revealed the steel beneath. And here's the deeper truth: if you're not failing, you're not growing, you're playing small, you're living inside a comfort zone that breeds mediocrity. Failure is proof that you are reaching, risking, evolving. It's the price of innovation, the toll for transformation, the cost of chasing something worth having, and if you're afraid of paying that price, then you will never own anything truly yours. You must train yourself to see failure with clarity, not emotion. To detach from the shame and extract the lesson, to turn what was once pain into precision, because if you allow failure to be final, it will bury your potential before it ever blooms. But if you treat it as a signal, just information, nothing more, you take back control. You become adaptive, relentless. You become someone no defeat can define. Failure doesn't say you're finished. It says you've just begun. Listen to it, learn from it, then rise again and move forward with more power than you had before. Most people live in invisible chains, chains forged not by enemies, but by the need to be seen, praised, and approved. They chase applause like oxygen and run from criticism like fire. In doing so, they become slaves to the opinions of others, never truly free, never truly themselves. If you want to rise above the noise, if you want to walk the path of mastery, You must detach from the cheers, from the boos, from the need to be validated. Applause is seductive. It tells you you're enough, you're admired, you're on the right path. And while it may feel good, it is dangerous, because once you start to depend on it, you begin to bend. You start performing instead of living. You shape your actions to match what gets you praise, not what aligns with your truth. And slowly, silently, you lose the core of who you are. Your mission becomes distorted, your vision blurred by the constant hunger for external approval. On the other side, criticism can cut deep. It can shake your confidence, plant seeds of doubt, make you question everything. But understand, this criticism is inevitable. No matter how perfect, how skilled, how pure your intentions, someone will dislike it. The critic does not always speak truth. Often they speak from their own wounds, insecurities, or ignorance. If you internalize every insult, you surrender control of your state of mind. You become reactive, defensive, off balance, and a person who reacts cannot lead. True strength comes from detachment, not apathy, but sovereignty. You do not ignore praise or feedback, but you do not become dependent on it. You learn to take what is useful and discard what is noise. You build your internal compass so strong, so grounded, that no compliment can inflate your ego and no insult can deflate your spirit. You begin to act from conviction, not craving. This kind of detachment is rare. It requires brutal self-awareness. You must ask yourself, why am I doing what I do? Who am I trying to impress? What would I choose if no one clapped, if no one noticed? The answers are uncomfortable, but they are necessary, because the moment you free yourself from the need to please, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing applause and start chasing excellence. You stop fearing criticism and start facing reality. Detachment is not a cold withdrawal from the world. It is clarity in motion. It is walking through the noise without being consumed by it. It is standing firm in your purpose while the crowd cheers or jeers. And in that space, you find something rare: peace, power, freedom. You become the one who cannot be controlled by fame nor destroyed by rejection, the one who acts with precision, no matter the noise around them. Detach from the applause, detach from the criticism, and watch how your focus sharpens, your decisions strengthen, and your journey becomes your own. Obstacles are not the end of your path, they are part of the path. They are not interruptions to your growth. They are the very soil it grows from. The average person sees a wall and turns back. The strategist sees a wall and asks, how can I use this? How can I take this resistance and turn it into strength? That is the difference, not in the size of the challenge, but in the way it is perceived and responded to. Psychological leverage begins when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I use this to become better, sharper, more dangerous? Every obstacle carries within it a hidden gift. If you are willing to suffer enough to unwrap it, the frustration reveals where your patience is weak, the delay exposes your obsession with speed, the failure uncovers what you never truly mastered. These are not punishments, they are instructions. Most people don't want to hear that. They want ease, not insight, comfort, not character, but the ones who go far, the relentless few. They know that the greatest breakthroughs are born inside the very resistance most people run from. To turn an obstacle into psychological leverage is to convert pain into fuel. It's about turning frustration into focus. Every setback becomes a trigger, not for rage or despair, but for recalibration. You use the resistance as feedback. You let it sharpen your thinking, train your resilience, and refine your execution. You say, this was meant to stop me. I will use it to accelerate. That mindset is power. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it is unshakable. The key lies in control, not control of the outside world. That is impossible. Control of your interpretation. You do not get to choose what comes against you, but you always choose how to interpret it. That is the battleground. That is where the weak fold and the strong rise. The obstacle becomes leverage when your mind learns to reframe it instantly, deliberately. This is not a loss, it's a lesson. This is not chaos, it's construction. This is not rejection, it's redirection. Some of your greatest strengths will be built in your weakest moments. If you are awake enough to extract the meaning, the pain, the delays, the betrayal, the failures, these are sharpening tools. If you use them right, they build mental armor, they make you durable, they make you lethal, and when the next challenge comes, you do not fear it, you welcome it because you have already trained in the fire. You are not here to wish away difficulty, you are here to outthink it, outlast it, and outgrow it. The obstacle is not your enemy, it is your raw material. You will bend it, shape it, leverage it, and in the end it will not break you, it will reveal you. Obsession is often misunderstood. It's labeled as unhealthy, extreme, or dangerous by people who have never truly committed to anything. But in the world of mastery, obsession is not a flaw, it's a requirement. Greatness does not come from balance. It does not emerge from part-time effort or occasional interest. It is forged in the fire of full immersion. Obsession is the sharp edge that cuts through mediocrity. It is the relentless focus, the refusal to let go, the hunger that keeps you up when the world sleeps. Without it, you will never reach the outer edges of your potential. Most people flirt with their goals. They give a little time, a little energy, a little attention, and expect massive results. They don't understand why nothing changes. It's because they're dabbling. The masters don't dabble, they marry their craft. They make a vow to it. They wake up thinking about it, go to sleep planning it, and leave every moment in service of it. That's not unhealthy. That's how anything truly exceptional is born. Obsession gives you clarity. It filters out distractions. While others are pulled in 10 directions, you're locked in on one. While others get bored, you go deeper. Where most quit because it gets hard, the obsessed become even more curious. They want to understand every layer, every nuance, every flaw in their own game. They are not motivated by rewards. They are pulled by an internal force that does not shut off. It doesn't care about applause. It only cares about evolution. This intensity scares people. It makes them uncomfortable because it reflects what they lack. So they will try to pull you back. Take a break. They'll say, relax, leave a little. But they don't understand. You are living fully, completely. Every second is dedicated to something that lights a fire in your soul. That is not something to hide. It is something to protect. Obsession is what carries you through the inevitable. The setbacks, the rejections, the moments of doubt, these are guaranteed. But the obsessed don't fold. They bend, they adapt, they endure. Why? Because they are not relying on motivation. They are possessed by purpose. There is a difference. And that difference is everything. When you are obsessed, the impossible starts to bend. Time stretches, progress compounds. What once looked out of reach becomes a baseline. Because while others are practicing for an hour, you're going for 5. While others read 1 book, you've devoured 50. While they're wondering if it's worth it, you've already committed your life to it. And in the long run, that kind of intensity wins, always. Obsession is not the enemy. It is the weapon, the tool, the engine. When directed with intention, it transforms you. It carves skill into your bones. It makes you dangerous, not just talented, but inevitable, so don't run from it. Don't dilute it to fit into a comfortable world. Use it, hone it, let it consume the part of you that wants to quit, and what's left will be unstoppable. The masses crave speed. They want results now, rewards now, respect now. They are seduced by shortcuts, addicted to instant gratification. That's why they quit. That's why they never build anything lasting. They're playing a short game, driven by dopamine and distraction. But mastery, true, lasting, undeniable mastery, requires something they fear: time, patience, endurance. The long game is not just a strategy, it's a mindset. It separates the exceptional from the average, the disciplined from the desperate. To embrace the long game is to commit without conditions. It means showing up when no one is watching, when no applause is echoing, when progress is invisible. It's doing the work when motivation is gone and only discipline remains. The long game doesn't care about how you feel today. It only responds to consistency. It rewards the ones who keep stacking days even when the returns seem non-existent. The masses want transformation, but they can't handle the timeline. They look at the masters and ask, what's the secret? The answer is always the same: years, reps, sacrifice, obsession. They want the outcome without the process, the result without the cost. So they jump from thing to thing, quitting as soon as boredom or resistance shows up. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're impatient. When you embrace the long game, you become a different breed. You begin to measure time differently. You don't chase fast wins, you build foundations. You don't obsess over trends, you master fundamentals. You understand that greatness is not built in a day, but it is built daily. And when you commit to that kind of timeline, everything changes. Your work deepens. Your confidence grows, your vision sharpens, you begin to separate, not by luck but by longevity. This mindset protects you from the noise. While others panic over temporary setbacks, you keep moving. While others burn out from sprints, you stay in the marathon. While others beg for quick validation, you develop unshakable internal certainty. The long game creates resilience. It makes you anti-fragile. The storms still come, but you're rooted too deep to be moved. But make no mistake, this path is not easy. It will test you. You will be underestimated, ignored, even mocked. People will wonder why you're not chasing fast success like everyone else. Let them wonder. While they chase likes, you're building legacy. While they chase trends, you're mastering timeless skills. And in the end, when they fade, you rise. Not because you got lucky, but because you refused to rush what was meant to last. The long game is not glamorous, it is not loud, but it is where all greatness is born. Play it, commit to it, and watch how time, used with ruthless discipline, becomes your greatest advantage. Power is often mistaken for intensity. People think it's about aggression, dominance, force, but the truth is more subtle, more enduring. Real power, undeniable, lasting, transformative power, comes from endurance, the ability to keep going when others stop, to hold the line when others break, to suffer with purpose, and to persist through pain, boredom, doubt, and fatigue. That is strength, not the flash of a moment, but the grind of a lifetime. Endurance is not glamorous. It doesn't always look impressive. It's not about showing off, it's about showing up, day after day, when the motivation is gone, when no one is watching, when the reward is nowhere in sight. That's where the real work happens. That's where transformation lives, because most people can sprint. Most people can show effort for a short time, but few can endure. Few can stay committed when the novelty wears off and reality sets in. The world will test your endurance. You will face failure, rejection, delays, and detours. You will have seasons where everything feels heavy, slow, and pointless. That's the breaking point. That's where the average fold and the relentless are born. The question is not, can you perform when it's easy? It's, can you still move forward when it's hard, lonely, and uncertain? Endurance answers that question with action. Quiet, focused, determined action. Endurance is mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's not just the body that gets tired. It's the mind that wants to quit. But when you train your mind to stay, to stand, to resist the urge to retreat, you become dangerous. You become the kind of person who doesn't just survive chaos. You become stronger inside it. Pain becomes feedback, fatigue becomes a filter, and struggle becomes the gym that builds your soul. The ones who endure are the ones who win. Not because they are the smartest or the most talented, but because they refuse to stop. Every time life says, "This is too much," they say, "I'm still here." Every time the world closes a door, they look for another. Every time they fall, they rise. Slower maybe, but sharper, more grounded, more clear. That's power. That's the kind of power that outlasts storms, that survives trends, that builds unshakable confidence. Endurance doesn't mean never feeling tired or doubtful. It means never letting those feelings decide your actions. It's choosing movement over mood, discipline over drama, purpose over pain. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. ruthlessly, relentlessly consistent, because in the end, the ones who endure are the ones who rise, not because they were handed anything, but because they were willing to suffer for something greater. The world remembers those who finish the race, not just those who start it, and finishing, lasting, staying, enduring, is the ultimate form of strength.